Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Good. All right, I'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Facilities Committee to order. It is 6:09. We do have, our whole meeting will be a presentation from Ben Whitaker, our Director of Construction and Planning, on the Polson Improvement Project. Do you want to say anything in advance before Ben takes it away?
Yeah, you were going to see an update on some really exciting work. It's at the point now where we're starting to see some progress, not necessarily the most exciting progress, but I think, when you see where we're heading for this. And then I would also like to tout that probably, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we were like at the point where we were planning on having to move students from Polson while this work would happen. Where I was having conversations with Catherine Hart about, we sending 8th graders to Daniel Hand and we keep Jeffrey open to put 6th graders in, kind of bringing up a wing at maybe a minimum at a time to be able to do this work. So Ben coming in here and having a fresh set of eyes on this has just really been phenomenal. Not only on a cost savings, which is very significant, that allows us to do other things besides just HVAC, but also, just kind of how this is going to play out and not impact construction while it's going on. So we want to thank Ben for his work on this project. I'm excited to share this presentation with him.
No, my pleasure. It was actually a pretty fun exercise to kind of see the problem and reconfigure and recalibrate it, working with the facility committee. It was just how Galen came in. It was about a year and a half ago we first sat down and kind of pitched this idea of how we could take Pulse in a different direction. And I appreciate it. We got the best building committee in town with Emily and Galen here, 2/3 of our audience tonight. So it's like I'm literally preaching to the choir here. But thank you for everything you do and your understanding on recalibrating this project and making it happen. So we are actually in construction. Construction phase started in January. But before we really get into the details, I kind of want to use this as an opportunity in case there's anybody new to the project to just kind of back up and show what we're doing with this recalibration. So we'll go through what is now the 4-year Polson Improvement Plan is what we call it. Right now we're in the year 1 project overview. Don't get tripped up by year 1, year 2, year 3, or 4. That's just the method of sequencing the project. It doesn't necessarily mean it's all happening year after year, but it's just the way we packaged it. We'll go through the building closures and timeline, and then go through the different aspects of the project itself. So this is a multifaceted project. It has an electrical upgrade. There's an HVAC component, which is penthouses and VRF. We'll talk about what that means later. Auditorium, renovation, main gym, and then we'll look ahead to see what the future holds after we do this phase. So this is a project optimization. So the project after the 2022 bond referendum was an infrastructure only project. So if you were a parent and you went to the school the day before the project started, and then you came to the school the day after the project ended, what you would have noticed for the $28 million at that time, because the estimates are over budget, was that the building was cool, like physically cold, because it has air conditioning, and not much else. So what we want to do, because it was so far over budget, was just to kind of stop and take a look at the way we were approaching the project and what could we do with the available funding, which was a little over $21 million from the bond fund and then $3.1 million of grant leverage SIP. So there's a $500,000 state grant in there as well for the generator portion of the work. How could we repackage this whole project to not only cool the building, because that is a priority, we want to get cooling in the building, but extend the life of the asset, add value to the building, and increase what we call customer experience. So somebody walks in and go, oh wow, I can see where our money went. And that's going to happen over the course of 4 years. This first year, aside from the auditorium and the gym, is the focus on heavy infrastructure, electrical upgrades, cooling, not the prettiest stuff. And then as the project continues into the later phases, that's when we start to do more of the aesthetics and the pretty work. But our goals really were, besides making it an incremental process, is we wanted to renovate the learning and community spaces. So again, beautiful auditorium in that it used to be a high school. It's a high school sized auditorium. It's bigger than anything we have at high school here in town. And it's because of the way the state construction grant process works, most schools don't build auditoriums like that anymore. So this is an opportunity to renovate a large auditorium that can handle not only school events, but district and townwide events. Same thing with the gym, largest gym we have in the district. Another huge goal for us was, and Dr. Cook alluded to this, was no operational disruption. So closing a school for a year, okay, we do have a vacant building in town or two at this point, but trying to do that with buildings that we just decommissioned is just, I mean, if you have to do it, you have to do it. But if you could avoid it, it's a good idea to do so. No redistricting needed, no reshuffling of staff. There are just a litany of problems that completely shutting a building down brings to the table. And the way Polson is set up, it's not really easily phased using wings. Used to do that a lot in the office world, where you could just kind of drag and drop people in different spaces. Schools don't really work like that. So we wanted to avoid building closure during the academic year, knowing that there's no way to do even year one in one summer, way too big of a project. But we shifted our the design team's focus on how do we do this using second shift work? What could we get away with doing during the day? We really talked to the principal at Polson. We definitely pushed the noise envelope a little bit over there, but we want to get as much as we can done before we really hit the rush this summer. We'll talk about the schedule a little bit. So year one's projects are executed through a construction manager at risk CM project delivery method. Gilbane is the CM on this project. And they're working under a little over $15 million guaranteed maximum price contract. All the different trade packages involved in this work were all publicly bid by Gilbane. And we also did a pre-procurement of some of our long lead time items, generator and switchgear. So here's the timeline for the project. The main gym goes offline May 11th. That date is now ingrained in our brains. The gym goes offline. That's going to be offline through November 28th. The reason why that's off cycle with the auditorium is athletics wanted to get it back online for events that they have in December. So we were able to we just did that a few months ago, recalibrated that schedule a little bit. Auditorium is offline at the end of the school year. They use the auditorium a lot at the end of the school year, so we didn't want to take that over too early. But then we're going to be able to work in that space through December 31st. The main gym we're able to take offline during the school year because there's an auxiliary gym in Polson. Again, a very rare luxury. With the auditorium, it's isolated from the rest of the school, as is the gym. We're easily able to section off the area as a construction zone. We have its own entrances and everything, and we're able to work in that during the school year without making anything that has building material abatement, any really noisy activities, framework, all that's going to happen during the summer. Obviously, we're not going to do that during the school year, but things like new flooring, seating, that could all happen during the school year. So once we hit June 21st, the building is going to be fully closed. Right now, the last day of school for students is the 18th. 19th is a staff day. We're really going to start ramping up on the 19th. June 21st is Sunday. From that point forward, we're closed. And through August 21st, no staff, no students. The building is deemed a construction site. Then once we hit February 2027, we will be fully, you see a dollar term comes back online in December. We have a couple months there just to do punch lists, close things out. And then we are going to revert the school back to completely normal operations. Our next project in line is roof replacement, and hopefully if funding allows, we'll go through the funding after, getting into abating the flooring throughout the whole school. But we promised them, since we're taking the school one summer, we don't want to take it again the next summer. So that's why I said don't get too caught up on the years, because we're actually going to skip a year in the meantime. There are a ton of pre-construction activities dealing with securing state grants for the roof and flooring replacement work. We're actually starting on that now, so we're ready for summer of 28. So just go through the year one projects a little bit. On the HVAC side, all the instructional spaces in the building are going to be cooled. Just about everywhere in the building, except for the auxiliary gym and just some kind of random non-instructional areas, won't have cooling. We're replacing, so areas that have no cooling now are getting what's called a VRF system. Think of it as a commercial version of, if you have ductless split systems in your house, they're popular these days, the ones you see hung on the walls. These are much bigger units, they're ceiling hung. There's a couple per classroom, and you have multiple, what you would call the indoor units or ceiling cassettes tied to one outdoor unit. So you might have, 10 classrooms fed by one unit out on the roof. They're using that method allowed us to run all the refrigerant piping in an existing building without doing really major surgery. The other big piece of this project is, if you've noticed that Polson, if you look up, there are these faded brown penthouses that are on the roof. There's 9 of them. Inside each of those penthouses, there are between 4, I think 6 is the highest, of individual split systems that do heating, cooling, and ventilation. Those were put in 1992. They were actually purpose built for this application, built in these custom penthouses and dropped on the roof. They work perfectly fine. In that, I mean, the design of them is perfectly fine. They adequately cool and heat the spaces. They adequately ventilate the spaces. They're just beyond the end of life. And we want to replace them just to keep those spaces going for another 30 years. We reverted back to this design. That system was going to go away. And again, we started to recalibrate this. Hey, these things, the customers like them. You have good zone control. Usually one unit does 1 or 2 classrooms. Teachers are able to modify their temperature without adjusting a whole wing. They offer good ventilation. There's nothing wrong with it. They're just old and they're breaking all the time and they're tough to maintain at this point. But we actually contracted the mechanical subcontractor. The job is working with Lennox who put these pieces of equipment in 92, and they're getting to do it all over again. But obviously saving some money because the enclosures are already built, so we're kind of replacing the guts. The big high customer impact project is the auditorium. So this is a complete renovation of the space. It's going to be abating the ceiling in there. We're going to be abating the flooring in there, obviously over the summer. Rebuilding the ceiling, all new lighting, all new seating, all new flooring, new sound system, new house lighting, new production lighting system. It's a true renovation of the space, refinishing the stage, getting rid of some old, there's just some old equipment that's back there that we're going to clean up the space a little bit. Fully painted, obviously, and that's going to really be kind of the fun showstopper project. Main gym will be right behind it. The main gym is getting its floor restored. It's going to be stripped right down to bare wood, refinished, new lines. It's going to have all the same lines with, there's a lot going on that floor. The only thing we're adding is volleyball, have a nice new logo in the center. It's going to have all new bleachers. We're putting in a great bleacher system by Hussey. We use it in a couple schools. It's a really good product, very durable, easy to use. Also going to have new LED lighting in there. Been in that gym. It's a little dreary, I guess is the right word. They don't freshen it up for sure. We're going to paint the entire ceiling with drywall paint, which will brighten it up. But the biggest change in the gym is it's now going to have cooling. So there are right now heating only units suspended from the ceiling. We're trying to reuse, or we are reusing some of their penetrations, and we are putting our new HVAC equipment on the roof next to the gym, and then we're going to dump everything into the gym. So that it'll be on a roof behind the building. You won't see it from the front of the building, and you'll just see 4 trunks go down the overhead of the gym, and it'll be nice and cool in there. So we could use this gym for events, all summer if needed. Electrical system, again, this is a really behind the scenes thing, but important, because if we don't do this, none of the other stuff happens. It's an upgrade to the building's main electrical system. Building's main electrical system is now in the basement. We are taking over, and I'll show some pictures of that. We are taking an old storage room that's inside the cafeteria. We have demoed that room. It was 2 storage rooms. That's becoming the new electrical gear, electrical main for the building. We'll trench in from the utility service. We have a new 3,000 amp main that's going in there. It's going to feed some new equipment, new panels throughout the building for the VRF, some other things. And then it's also going to pipe over and then feed the old electrical gear in the basement. Nothing wrong with the old gear, and that's how we're avoiding a months-long shutdown instead of what's probably going to be a 2-week shutdown, if that, this summer. So we're building all the new stuff now, tying into the old, and then to top it all off, there'll be a new generator on the building. There is no power generator on site now. It's 1.5 megawatts. It'll do the entire school, and it's fully automatic. So power goes out, and within 8 seconds, generator takes over, and the entire school operates. All the cooling, everything. It actually switches the main. We were able to fund that through, again, it's had a $500,000 grant, because Polson is now going to become the town's emergency shelter. So that's how we were able to get that going, and then there was a town contribution to that as well. So that's what the project is now. I won't go through all these. I kind of build presentations like the reference material, so there's a lot more words than I'm thinking my former communications person would be in my ear going, "What too many words on the slides?" And that's because how I work is I like to jump back to these things, and you know, and I like everybody else to be able to do the same. Where if 20 minutes from now you forget what we were doing or how big the electrical main is, if you look back to this, you have your answer. So with the main service, I'm not going to go through the whole thing again because it pretty much I already said it all there. But the switchgear and the generator were ordered in June of last year. We did an advanced procurement bid package to buy the generator and the switchgear. Most of the gear is already here, and it's being stored off site. The generator is due in June. So we'll be ready for it about that time, and we'll tie that into our electrical main switchover. The electrical room has been demolished. The underground conduit is being installed right now, and distribution conduits and the new equipment up on the roof is in process. I'll show some pictures of that. So the pictures in this presentation are very underwhelming. Because like we really haven't done any of the big like high impact stuff yet. But as Emily and I were talking this morning, like I guess they are good like before pictures. No, I don't know. I mean, I get excited with a fully equipped like electrical main room. I think most people would be like, yeah, what's that? Yeah. But anyway, this is the room we took over as part of the CAF. The picture in the lower right hand corner is our construction work area there. That pad is where our old walk-in freezer was, and that's going to be where the generator is going to go. So again, using this as a reference material, I'm going to take this presentation and a year from now give another one with stuff in those locations and hopefully some pictures along the way. So took the wall out, and then we excavated the room there, and that's those trenches you see is where all our new conduits are being run. I took these pictures 2 weeks ago. I was over there yesterday, and it actually looks completely different now. There are about 20 holes bored through the foundation. There are pipes stubbed out. And that picture in the lower right hand corner is where all the utility stubs are going to come in. So they're coming from that room through that foundation wall. And that trench that you see is pretty much filled now with 4-inch PVC conduit to feed all this new gear that's in there. So it's come a long way just in a week. Also on the roof, you start to see they're starting to lay out all the conduit out there. I think there's a overhead picture a little later on that shows some of that. But there's about a mile of conduit on the roof. HVAC, so there's two parts of HVAC. One of the penthouses we just talked about. There's 43 of those 1992 units. There are 9 penthouses. They serve the 1970s vintage portion of the building. I'm sure you know, Polson has, I think, 6 vintages going from the 30s through the early 30s, through the 50s to the early 2000s. And they're all, we actually have a pretty cool map that shows all the different sections of it. But these were strictly for the 1970s portion. They almost look like gas furnaces you would see in a house. They're split systems, DX cooling, just like you'd have in a house. Air-cooled condensers. Each one of them serves 1 to 2 classrooms. Again, we're working with Lennox to ensure the proper fit and just restore that equipment. All that work will take place in the summer, and that will all be online by the start of August. And if you ask Gilbane, this is the one that keeps them up at night because all those units have to come out and be fully built on site by the end of summer. So this is some before pictures, what the penthouses look like. 4 of them, 5 of them in the top shot there. Lower left is one of the condensers and kind of entering one of the penthouses. And then on the lower right is if you open the door to that penthouse there, those are the 4 split units stacked up on top of each other. So fresh air is drawn in and mixes, goes through those units there and onto the space. So really cramped quarters in there. I don't envy the HVAC techs that are drawing the short straw to be in those hot boxes all summer. But at least they'll have steady work for the entire summer, that's for sure. So work begins on that 6/19. That's just a little schematic in the background there.
And can I just
Sure.
So to confirm the penthouses will stay as they are, they're just gonna, the insides will be replaced
Correct,
with
yeah.
new stuff.
They will pretty much, they're gonna paint them and everything too, but yeah, they are gonna be, they're replacing all the guts and then
Yeah.
the condensers that hang off the outside walls of the penthouses themselves.
Okay, thank you.
So like the after picture's gonna look very similar, just shiny.
Yeah,
A little prettier.
That's it, yeah. Second part of HVAC is the VRF that we talked about. So it's 24 classrooms. So there's 12 outdoor condensers and they feed 69 indoor units. Most of them are those ceiling cassettes that are in the classrooms. They're also in the hallways, and we also help their friends out in the kitchen. So now Brown is going to be the odd person out that doesn't have any cooling in the kitchen. So we'll see how long it takes before we're doing that as a project. Electrical piping began in March. Refrigerant piping actually began this week. They started yesterday evening. They're doing all that on second shift. They're starting to run all their hangers to run their network of refrigerant piping. They're actually going to start doing the indoor units, the ceiling cassettes at some point. They're going to do that at night as well. There's a cleaning crew on the staff that's there with them. Their command is basically when teacher walks in the morning, that room looked exactly how they left it at the end of the day. I've done this before in other schools. Usually there's 1 or 2 reminders at the beginning of the project about that. And we've already talked to the school. We said, don't be shy. If you see something that's off, let us know, because once you stay on that from the beginning, everybody gets the message, and usually goes well after that. Rooftop equipment, these are giant condensers. They're not the small ones like you see on the penthouses. Those are going in summer 26. Obviously, we usually do crane work when there's nobody in the building for safety reasons. Systems will all be online and commissioned around September, October. Told Dr. Cook, don't promise anybody that all those classes are going to be air conditioned by September. Maybe some of them will be, but there are no guarantees on that. Obviously, our focus is on the penthouses, because the cooling going into the new classrooms, the classrooms that don't have cooling now, that's a new product for them. The room could still operate just as it did last year without it, whereas the penthouses are designed to rely on those for heating and cooling. A lot of those are interior classrooms, so those have to be working before we can reoccupy them. So that's why, if anything, those take priority. A picture of a hallway. The reason I put that there is most of these hallway ceilings are coming down to run all the piping. There's so much piping going through there. It'd be a lot easier to take it just during the contract, made the decision just to take it out. So that's just a before picture. There's going to be a whole, I'll get a couple of progress shots when we're running the piping up there. Right, it's just your average classroom on the show before, where the cassettes are going to go. If you see the 2 steel beams there, they're roughly going to go within those bays, and we're trying to keep all the piping up and out of the way as much as we can. So they'll penetrate in off the hallway, run down those beams and into the cassette. So we're trying to, as much as we can, limit piping running across the beams. We want everything uptight. Really get the industrial look going on for sure. This is some of the shots of the roof. You can see all our safety equipment up there, flags and barricades. And then top picture, that kind of silver stripe down the middle, that's all new conduit. I didn't get a picture before they started. They jumped right in there and had that done. That was about 3 days worth of work right there. You can see in the lower left hand, this the bank of piping that's running from the new electrical gear, and mostly going over to where the auditorium is. There's some new panels going in there in the production booth, but that's splitting out into all the VRF systems. You can see on the lower right, all the conduit that's up there staged and ready to go. Auditorium, talked about that a little bit. Mechanical equipment is ordered, it's on schedule. So I didn't mention this earlier, the auditorium will have cooling as well. So the auditorium right now has a gigantic air handler that's up behind the production booth. Couldn't get cooling into that unit, into that room. So all that equipment, similar to the gym, is all going to be built outside. We tried to orient it on the roof in a way where it wasn't kind of obnoxious to look at, and it will duct into the auditorium and then tie into the ductwork for distribution. So the distribution of the air in the auditorium will be the same. It'll now just be cool air as well as heating. Again, the auditorium's closed after the last day of school, and we'll isolate the space and work on that through the end of the year. I think I hit everything before. Ceiling, house lights, theater lighting, sound, seating, flooring, curtains. I didn't mention curtains. Stage finishing, and then all the cosmetics. These are good because it doesn't really do it justice how worn this stuff is to get a little closer, but I didn't want to take like a close-up picture of a dirty chair. That looked kind of weird. It's not dirty.
Well, if you look at that front row, you
Yeah,
can
it was broke a
actually
little
see
bit.
it.
Yeah. But it's time. When you go in there, it's time. Nothing in that auditorium owes us a dime. It has seen its life. It has seen its value. So it is just worn. So that's the looking outwards, and again, just some pictures because all of the lighting, those tormentors you see up there will all be new. A little bit close-ups of the seats there. The bottom left, those are the whatever you want to call them. They're like, I call them like the back classrooms because they wall them off and use them for instruction. But they will all have uniform seating now, so the seating will be the same throughout. It won't be the upholstered in one section and the hard bottoms in another. Just another kind of close-up of the stage because the stage is going to get fully refinished as well.
Will the capacity remain the same, whatever it is, like in terms of number of seats?
Yes, it's almost exact. There were a couple reductions for ADA, which you have to take like a bigger notch out. And then where the production, there's gonna be a booth kind of in the center of the main seating in back where there'll be a soundboard and all the controls and everything. There's like a little knockout for that. I don't remember the exact number. It's like 10 tops.
Okay.
So it's still, I think it seats 707 now. It's gonna be similar to that afterwards. Same thing in the gym too. We're trying to retain as many seats as possibly good.
I have a quick question about the auditorium. So I remember back when we were first talking about renovating it and there was the concern of running anything on the ceiling because of the abatement that would then need to be done.
Yep.
So how is that being handled?
Ceiling's coming out.
Okay.
Whole ceiling.
So it's gonna be all abated first and then.
Yep, so literally the entire ceiling is being removed and rebuilt. That's the by far the most cost effective way to do that is to just take that out in mass and then rebuild it.
And then the flooring, is there any abatement needed for the
Yes,
floor?
yep, so the abatement in that space is all the flooring, and then the ceiling. Those are the two main parts. That's why I had to wait till the summer, I mean, till the.
Everyone's
Get
happy.
that started, yeah. Main gym, again, we talked about this a little bit, but that'll be a full refresh in there. We'll take it offline on May 11th. And we're moving the weight room next week, actually. There is new structural steel going in the weight room because there's a unit that's going on top of the weight room ceiling to feed the gym. So that's gonna get cleared out Tuesday. And it's gonna be moved over to the auxiliary gym or the auxiliary area at Disneyland, the back room there. Equipment and seating is ordered. It's so far so good. It's all on schedule. So really no lead time issues right now, which is really good. Haven't said that on a project in quite a while, actually. Again, before pictures of the gym, looks nice there, so it doesn't really convey kind of how tired it is in there. But again, when you see the after here, it'll blow you away. If we did nothing else but the floor, you would still kind of be in shock how that really transforms the space. Yeah, just some pictures. That's actually the layout of all the new striping. So their line striping guys gonna get a headache. They were very concerned though, because they do use whenever we do a floor, we always want to make sure that we're not like putting lines back unnecessarily. Like I like things to be clean, organized. And they were very adamant that they use everything there. The only thing that was added is the volleyball court in the center there. So there's pickleball, badminton, volleyball, basketball, half court basketball.
There actually is.
Yeah, that's all. Those are the lines right there.
I thought, oh my gosh.
Yep.
I don't have all the themes for PE.
And they're all different colors?
They're all different colors. Yeah, they have a whole color schedule and everything. Yeah, we're changing the colors just to make them because some of them are too close to each other now. But so that's year one. I have a bad tendency to say, okay, that project, what's next? So already looking ahead and starting to plan for on year two projects. So if the project was over today, there would be $7 million left. Now, there's gonna be changes in the project, hopefully not big ones. But right now, I'm comfortable saying there's potentially $7 million left in that bond fund. The final we'll know in February 2027. But will be what we use to deploy to year two's projects. So year two's projects are the roof replacement and then abating and replacing all the asbestos tile flooring in the entire school. So anything that's remaining, getting that all out in one shot, then we never have to deal with that again. So anytime we renovate a space, anytime we need to drill through something, all that flooring will be out of there. Not to mention the flooring in that building is probably double past what it's like was supposed to be. I think that's one of the comments I made when I was like, you guys are gonna put 28 million, it was like my first week here, but you're gonna put $28 million in the school and you're gonna walk in carpet? Like, it's gonna look like that? Yeah. I don't know how our custodians do it, but I mean, they make the absolute best out of that product that's there, but it's mostly on top of asbestos tile. So, the thing with putting carpet on top of asbestos tile, you usually only get to do it once, because when you go to pull the carpet up, it pulls the asbestos up. So we'll take care of that once and for all. Really important is the roof. You got a little taste of it when you're looking at those pictures there. That roof is shot. It's a rolled roofing material. It is just completely deteriorated. It's not a product I ever specify anymore. And has the same thing. We're also, we have projects in our SIP for next year to do hands. If all goes well, we'll do both of those roofs in the same summer, which would be great. So we'll replace them with the same type of product, likely an EPDM rubber roof. Nice kind of tried and true product. So roof replacement right now is $5.9 million. That's eligible for state school construction grant reimbursement. We carry 25% as an estimate for reimbursement, just to be on the safe side. So that leaves 4.5 million as what's called a local share. We have to front the money for the whole project, then we get reimbursed. And any residual, we pump into the next project. The ACT flooring abatement, that's about $1.4 million. Again, that's reimbursable through state school construction grant program. And that's about $1 million local share. So with that 7 million, again, if there were no other expenses today, we could actually hit both of those projects. We're already starting that process. Actually, the state grant process will start in earnest in spring of 2027. But I've actually got a PO process right now to do. The first step is called a conceptual study of the roof. The good thing is we have all the plans from when the roofs were redone at Polson last, and we have the roof at hand as original construction. So we're able to get a pretty good price to do that. The state also requires you to have a third-party cost estimate. They used to take my number and use it. That number is free. Now I have to give that number to a design firm who has to put it on their letterhead and send it to the state. They do their own work too. But anyway, so we have to start that process now. Then we get into future years. So year 3 with ceiling, lighting, common areas. The nice thing is we're going to knock some of that out now. Talk about with a couple of those hallways. So we'll get some of that done. I'll get to how we're going to structure that afterwards. We had window replacement for 3.8 million. Again, that's a state reimbursable project. 2.8 local share. Then we had year 4, which were classroom refreshes. What these are is you go into a classroom and basically refresh everything that's not the floor. So new blinds, new paint, cabinet door fronts, anything just to actually pretty the space up. It's the best money you can spend in a classroom. Been doing this kind of strategy for years. Teachers come back in, even when you're doing a school that hasn't had the floor done yet, they come in and they're like, "Oh my God, you guys fully renovated the classroom." Like, now it's like $8,000. And it looks and feels brand new. That's all contingent upon residual funding. So we're hoping to get all that done as part of that 4-year plan. But the way this project came in for year 1 was a little bit more than we were expecting. But I think turned into a really good beneficial project. My goal is to be able to get year 2 done, enough funds left over to hit the roof and the flooring. And then I've started integrating these year 3 and 4 projects into our SIP. So Polson doesn't have any projects doesn't have many projects in the SIP because everything was getting funneled through this bond fund. The only thing we're doing through SIP this year is replacing a freezer. So the windows in the year 4 projects are now, I've actually already started our fiscal year 28 through 32 SIP. I've got a draft of that done already. Those projects have been added to it. And then we're going to supplement it with other projects just after living in the district for a year and a half, realize Polson needs $100,000 a year for restroom refreshes. Eventually want to get into the auxiliary gym because that is the one space we're not touching at all. We need new hydronic controls in that building. And then there were a bunch of projects for all these locker room renovations in our SIP and in our long range plan. They were really big, scary numbers. They kind of had some dreaming behind them and some reality behind them. Worked with our athletic director over the past year or so. And we took all those projects and combined them into what we're calling team room conversions. Because I found out nobody wanted the locker rooms to be renovated as locker rooms. They don't use them like that anymore. So why are we going to build them like that? There was talk about redoing them just for emergency shelter use, but they can use the team rooms. So these are much more multifunctional space, so when you walk into a space, it's not, 250 lockers taking up space, there might be some lockers around the perimeter. But it's, it'll have benches, it'll have, picture the coach giving the pregame speech in there, it's that kind of thing. If you watch any basketball and they show the pictures of inside the locker room, those are team rooms now, they're not old school, gym lockers that we remember from back in the day. More on that later, but that's a project that's in the sim. Again, we'll put that in our next iteration, which happens this summer, so process is never done, so like, I'm just very careful with wording, like when people say, oh, we're spending $22 million on Polson, it's done, right? Well, it's never done. Neck River's not done. Neck River's been built, but in 5-6 years, we're gonna be putting capital money into that building. That's how this works. It's continual improvement. What we want to do is we want to avoid the big spikes. We just want to keep putting money into strategically into buildings, just constantly keep it in a renovated state. So
Thank you, question.
I have a.
yeah, if you actually want to stop asking any questions on that, we're gonna completely switch topics for the last slide.
So my question is about the roof. So in the year one phase, when you're doing all the penthouse units and everything like that, and you had said that the roof is already not in great condition.
Yeah.
So what is the likelihood of damaging the roof while doing all that work and having to put some of that money into fixing it or repairing it so it can hold out until the next year?
Great question. So one of the things that thought long and hard about this project, and it's almost like a chicken or the egg thing. It was, do you put all this new work and run piping and everything, and put these condensers in place on an old roof and then have to go back, which is gonna make it a hassle to replace the roof? Or do you spend all this money on a new roof and then have to go back and put new equipment on it? And oh, we thought that piece of equipment was gonna be here, we have to move it 3 feet, now you're recutting into the roof system. So we went around and around with which one we should do first. Obviously, the HVAC and electrical was driving this whole project, so from the customer side, the demand was there. What we basically landed at, it was better to get all the equipment in place, have it all on its curbs. The immediate areas around the equipment will have new flashings, terminations and everything. So when we do the new roof, it'll bump up to those areas. So nothing is just getting like slapped on the old roof. And there is an allowance in the project if something does get damaged to fix it. But the way they're using it, like I'll show a close up of the conduit next time. For example, all that big electrical conduit is not actually secured into the roof in any way. It's actually sitting on top of the roof on blocks. They're purpose built, like rubberized blocks. So when you go to redo the roofing company will support those, and you can just take the roof right out from underneath it. So we did that purposefully instead of actually going through and anchoring everywhere into this roof. And then when you went to go redo the roof, had to take all that out, reconfigure it and everything else. So yeah, that was definitely, the penthouses don't really have any roofing impact at all because all that work is confined to the interior. It's the air handlers for the gym, air handlers for the auditorium. The auditorium's units are actually, I'm gonna get them confused. It's either the auditorium or the gym. I'm pretty sure it's the auditorium though, is actually going on steel supports that are elevated. So that'll have penetrations into the old roof. It'll have all new material that mates up to the old, but all that stuff is elevated. So when they go to do their new roof, you're doing it right from underneath. So great question, because that was definitely something we thought a lot about and I still don't love. In a perfect world, you're doing it both at the exact same time, but I've never experienced that either. So any other questions on the general? We'll kind of switch gears for a second. So while we're talking projects, we have one project, so there isn't much for Polson in the SIP, but this year there's $150,000 for furniture replacement at the Library Media Center Legacy Project. I don't know where that 150 came from, it's been there forever, but now it's upon us, so if the budget passes later this month, it's part of that allocation. So just started working with the library folks and the school principal a month or so ago. They actually have a rep coming in. Then the goal is to replicate the look and feel of Brown School. So at Brown School last year, as part of the big move and reconfiguration, we did their media center. The difference there was we were able to actually do paint, flooring, kind of pretty the whole space up. That $150,000 is pretty much just going to be on furniture. I struggle with that because when I walk in there, I'm going. Almost like this project as a whole, you're gonna spend 150 grand, you're going, the furniture's nice, but look at that carpet. Of course, I gotta resist the urge to do everything. So our kind of our happy medium, what we're working on now is they're getting pricing for all the, they're basically replacing the furniture in there one for one. So all the stacks and shelving are on the outside. And then anything that we have left, we are going to do paint and flooring just to pretty it up a little bit. But of course, you got the furniture, you have the demo of the old, you have the install of the new, you have the moving of the books. So those costs really start to add up and you're almost at, 90 grand when you haven't even touched the furniture yet. So more to come on that, but what we're aiming for is, you can see on the right there, see how it looks the same. So Polson on the left-hand side, that's how it exists today. Brown was how it existed this time last year. And then we just cleaned up the space. So that was a really fun little project to do. And all that is in there is flooring and furniture, paint, some ancillary work that we did to bring the space up. So requires a 3-week shutdown. I would love to do it this summer, but the chances of actually getting all that procured and furniture in place while we have everything else going on in the district this summer, I don't think it's gonna happen. Again, I'm working with the school. Another idea we're talking about now is do we bookend the break? So we need 3 weeks to do it. Do we take a week before December, then a week after December break or April? Worst case scenario, we go into summer 27. Like I said, my personal goal was not to bother that school at all in summer 27. So we'll see. Not part of the bond project at all. It was just while we were talking about stuff happening at Polson this summer, figured we'd throw it in there. I think that was it. Yeah. Any other questions, guys?
Thank you, Ben. That's amazing. There's so many components of it and you know everything. So.
No.
I like all the words on the slides.
Yeah, no, that's,
Very fond of
Yeah,
that.
that way you just read it, yeah.
Your questions, Ben?
I think I asked them all already.
Thank
So
you,
let
Ben.
me know when you guys wanna check in, happy to do another one of these, even an interim one. But definitely, something I wanna start doing is like in October, going through the work that we do in the district overall. I think a lot of that stuff, we just have to do a better job. We have to do a better job promoting, because a lot happens in the district all the time, but especially in the summer.
Yeah,
And then nobody, it gets into superintendent's newsletters and things like that, but really the visuals, I think, helps, especially for members of the public, to say like, yeah, we're not on summer vacation, like this is
No.
what we're doing. So,
yeah. Those before and afters will be powerful.
Yeah. Great.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right.
Ben. That's
Can I ask
super
a
Thank you.
question about Neck River from Rad?
helpful.
My question is that, we delayed putting the solar panels on a roof because the roof warranty was gonna be a year. So when is that 1 year up?
So it would be up, that's
Uh,
probably a peak question.
July
right?
7th. July 7th.
There's two things, it's a contractor's warranty for a year of the installation, and then there's the roof warranty.
Oh, there's
Roof
two.
warranty is 30 years.
Oh,
The
okay,
contractor owns the roof for a year. And we didn't wanna have any damage come on there
right.
and have finger pointing of all those solar people or contractors going in there. So to do that, we avoided 1 year.
So the 1 year is up when?
July
And we
7th.
took-
July
Yeah.
7th.
Yeah.
So then are we gonna be looking at doing the solar panels then?
So that's still in the building committee's purview right now, they're finalizing numbers.
So I think, my understanding from the building committee is they may be prioritizing demolishing Ryerson over solar panels. So Ben and Pete have looked to include, solar panels into CIP. To have a placeholder, similar to what he did with some of those projects that we're not 100% sure we'll get to. So, that they're in place now, the town could make a decision to do it sooner because there's a pretty significant payback, initially. And going out for 20-30 years, but that's what the building committee, from my understanding, Pete and Ben have more updated information than I do, then share.
That's just about it, yeah, I mean, there's some other things that Ben and I would go over, I mean, when we run a project, we save money.
So then a question that relates to that. So if we go all the way back to the project budget back in the beginning. Haven't we had it with me? The beginning of the total project budget, there was a line item specifically for the demolition of Ryerson. Demolition and abatement of Ryerson, and it was at 39, says 39,000, but I think it was.
No, it's one point four or something like that.
Yeah, it's like,
0.4.
not the right number. And then lower down within this project budget, it said solar panels / PV array. And it says assume PPA, which was power purchasing agreement. And so I don't remember what that was.
We're gonna try not to go, we wanna own the panel.
Okay, so that, but like there was never a number.
No, because that's,
Those-
it's settled on whether or not they were gonna actually buy them out, whether go to the PPA, like we have around a lot of the district here.
Okay.
And we wanna be able to take full advantage of it, the money left over, we should buy it out. Or if there's money goes to the SIP, we do the SIP project, we own the panels, we get all the rights and. We have the control over everything.
Okay, so the solar panel number was never then included in the project budget, but the Ryerson demo was, but now they're saying they're gonna prioritize the Ryerson demo over the solar panel project, and yet that money was already
Some of
in.
this is before I even got
Yeah.
on this, I mean, there's been some discussions back and forth on all this. I'm not clear on answering with for sure, because I wasn't at the meeting
Okay.
prior to
But-
being there.
But that's basically why, you know, one of the demolition of Ryerson was included, so that would be part of the project budget. They're coming to the end.
Okay, so
getting
they're
more
looking
state
at the
reimbursement.
final numbers and seeing
exactly.
what's left.
Yep,
I'm just saying, so there is money left in the Ryerson demolition and abatement because it was in the
Yeah.
original plan,
That's
but the numbers for the
the
solar panels
latest,
are
the
not.
latest and greatest is that the building committee is gonna make a final determination on taking the residuals of the project and moving forward with Ryerson.
Yeah.
And that's, the solar panels right now are in year 3 in the SIP. The SIP committee has those in year 3. That's today's, that's how it is today,
Thank you.
all right?
thank you.
Do you have any members of the public, any public comment in person? No? All right, we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you so much, Ben. It's
Thank you.
6:56. Thanks, everyone.